If you could choose between two colleges, the one putting you $60,000 more into debt and the other one potentially limiting your career options, which one would you choose? I'm Christy in Canada, and I'm your immigration bestie, and I'm here to spill the tea on all things immigration. And a random fun fact about me, I once rode an ostrich as a child. There is more context, and I will tell you at the end of this video. In today's video, I read a chapter from my book, Immigrating to Canada versus the USA. We will find out which country has the worst post-secondary credentials, whether studying in either of these countries can bankrupt you, actually matter when it comes to your ultimate career choices. Let's dive in with an immigration story. A ruined story. Los Angeles, California. My phone buzzes. The voicemail icon for a missed call appears. Immediately, my hands are clammy and I can feel my voice box tighten. This is it. It's do or die time. It's the culmination of 4 years of studying, 4 summers of internships, and 5 rounds of interviews at Google. The Google. Or as my mother would correct me, Alphabet is the parent company. How are you going to get a job there if you can't even get the name right, Arun? Why did I miss the voice message? Why did I have to go pee at that moment? Why did I think that a venti caramel swirl frappuccino would ever be a good idea? The icon is still on my phone. The number 1 in a bright green box. Like a small little birthday gift. It's gotta be good news, right? They would have emailed with bad news, right? I know that once I listen to this message, I can unhear it. The point of no return. The big gamble of get Arun to America so that he can study and get an amazing job either pays off right now, or I'm gonna have to do some career version of the walk of shame all the way back to Sri Lanka. Worst of all, I'm gonna have to tell my mom that, no, I didn't get it. And then what? Where would I turn to after that? Moving home to try and meet a nice girl and get married? What if the phone call wasn't from Google? What if it was from my mother and something had happened to her? And even if I got the job, I would have to move back home to go look after her. If I didn't do that, would I be a terrible son? Or would my mom feel terrible because she made me miss out on an opportunity of a lifetime? In one fell swoop, I slurp back the last bit of the lukewarm frappuccino. It tastes disgustingly sweet now. While the sugar rush hits me, I hit the voicemail icon and I tap in my pin with shaky fingers. Hi, Arun. This is Caitlin from HR. I wanted to follow up from our earlier interviews and thank you so much for your time, as well as invite you to formally join the team. There is not enough fist pumping in the world to represent how happy I am at this very moment. Post-secondary education. Opting for post-secondary education for a promising future is like following a script that is so tattered that the lines are barely legible. Yet it is a narrative that most Canadians or Americans still believe in. And 1.4 million Canadians head to school each year, while a whopping 15.4 million students in America do the same ritual. And it is such a powerful narrative that immigrants will go to extreme lengths to get into prestigious colleges, all in the hopes of it leading to a prestigious, well-paying job. And the reality is, sometimes it can still really work out. And in the worst-case scenario, you still have a great education to fall back on. But, and this is a big but, the level of debt you take on to obtain an education is a calculated risk. Factors of academic success, future potential income, job market demand, and good old luck play into it. So let's dive into the different options each country provides you. Canadian post-secondary. In Canada, diversity in education is akin to selecting from a range of institutions. Universities, colleges, polytechnics resemble a varied menu of learning options. Tuition is often kinder on the pocket. It's like buying a nice meal at a local restaurant, not a fancy downtown joint. But prices can vary depending on the province. If you are a Canadian or a permanent resident, you can spend about $6,000 to $7,000 Canadian on tuition per year for an undergraduate program. Except in Quebec, where they have some weird rules there, which are quite frankly beyond the scope of this book. In general, assume anything that surrounds the French language in Canada as hella confusing, drowning in bureaucracy, and dancing in some special gray zone of special conditions. Scholarships and grants are plentiful, making it easier to score some financial help. Provinces and schools often join in the giving party, so it's like getting surprise gifts. But if you are an international student, you are going to have to triple to quadruple this price point. Ugh, brutal.
I hate to say it, but I personally think that it's a bit of an academic industrial complex when it comes to post-secondary institutes recruiting and bringing international students. That is, institutions need these students to justify their own existence, and these students pay to play. American colleges. In the US of A, there's a smorgasbord of colleges and universities to pick from. It's like a massive shopping mall of education. Tuition is where things get a bit spicy. Private schools can be as expensive as a fancy sports car, while public schools offer a discount for in-state students. Out-of-state students, though, pay a premium. The average annual tuition for American schools? $10,230 for in-state students at a 4-year public college. $26,290 for out-of-state students at a 4-year public college, $35,830 for a private non-profit 4-year college. And that's not even getting into the price for international students. Poor souls. Scholarships and grants are like hidden treasures. You might need a map to navigate the financial aid maze. The FAFSA form is your golden ticket, and you may have to do some financial treasure hunting for scholarships. But it is worth noting, America is also home to some of the most prestigious institutions in the world. And if you graduate from those universities, you might land up in a prestigious job or be well connected to the right network of people who can open doors for you. At least, that is the hope, the gist. You will get a much more affordable post-secondary experience in Canada, in some cases up to a quarter of the tuition costs in the US. Plus, Canada's student loans people are much kinder. They even forgave me some of my debt right off the top at the end of my degree. How polite. And honestly, you will get an equal level of education from both countries. You just really have to look up the top universities for the best quality of education. Christie's 2 cents. A word of the wise from my personal experience for an undergraduate degree. I would personally try to attend a Canadian institute that is A, a public institute, not a private, B, one that has been a university for a while. Out of personal experience, I have done a degree at a larger institute which had much more academic rigor, and then a college-turned-university situation. It was a bit more hit or miss on the quality of instruction. Questions to ask yourself. Question number 1. Are you a verifiable genius, and have you utterly crushed your academic goals? If so, a lot of doors can open for you in both countries. If you have stellar grades, as well as enough leadership to steer the vision of a small country, you too could be rewarded with scholarships galore, and again, both countries can provide you with an opportunity to study. Question number 2. Do you have a particular program in mind? What is the total tuition for the program? Question number 3. Do some comparison shopping and see how much the program would cost you in either Canada or the United States. Note those costs. Question number 4. Are you studying a degree with a clearly lucrative path post-graduation? How much do you expect to earn in your first year? Question number 5. Are you studying at an institution that has a lot of cachet with the lucrative industry you're trying to get into? For example, an engineer looking to get into Silicon Valley. Question number 6. Are you studying a more general degree with less lucrative prospects? Question number 7. Are you looking to use your education as a means to gain permanent residency in that country? Canada has some more clear pathways to do this. Question number 8. Do you have children who are considering attending a post-secondary institution in the near future? Question number 9. If so, what are your expectations for you helping them out with their education expenses? Immigration can take a bite out of your savings and earning potential for a while. Have you clearly mapped out what you can afford? Question number 10. Which option in this section seems more appealing to you? Why?
So I end all the chapters of my book with a set of questions that's supposed to help you think through the options that would best suit you. If you want to, you can buy the book at the link down below, or you can fill out the form below and I will send those questions directly to you. Next, we compare Canada versus the USA and their openness to newcomers. Okay, so I grew up in South Africa, and part of South African schooling is to take you on these outings. And I went on an outing and I was a nerd. So I knew all these fun facts about animals. And when we went to the ostrich farm, they asked random facts and I knew them. And one of the prizes was going for a ride on an ostrich. And I did. And it was exactly as you imagine. You put your legs under the ostrich wings and then you use their neck like a joystick because they're not the smartest animal, and they just unleash them by taking the bag off their head. Again, not the smartest animal. And we went for a ride, and it was both terrifying and exhilarating to be an ostrich jockey for 30 seconds.